Good morning, Seekers, and welcome back to the next episode of the Critical Grays podcast. I am your co host, Bodhi, also known as Bodhi on the Discords, and I am joined today by Ethan, also known as Jabroni Apologist on the Discords.
Hello.
Ethan, what is the last concert that you've been to?
I'm glad you asked, Bodhi. The last concert I went to see Red Vox last month in Cleveland. Was really cool. That is the band who's the lead singer is the big popular streamer guy, Vine Sauce. And it was really weird because I've like listened to that guy play games and stuff since I was like 16, and then I got to see him, and he was just there, standing, being corporeal. But really good music. They ended with "Vomit in the Ball Pit," which is one of my favorite songs. Excellent. Mwah, 10 out of 10. Great performance.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
What about you? What's the last live music thing you saw?
Well, so I've never really been a big music guy, like in-person music, I suppose. My parents, when I was young, took me to music festivals when all I wanted to do was play Minecraft and sit on the couch. So, I mean, I kind of grew to resent it from that. Which, I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure if
God
I
forbid
would.
your parents try and culture you a little bit.
Yeah, I know. It's like first world problems.
Mhm.
Um, So I was in band all through high school and college, so I
Mhm.
was a part of the live music experience. But I think technically the most recent concert that I went to was a couple of years ago. Um, my fiance and I went to go see One Us. It's a K-pop group. Um, it was very overstimulating, and there were a lot of people who were very excited to see hot Asian men dance around on the stage.
Uh-huh.
And
Uh-huh.
I was less excited to see hot Asian men dance around on the stage. Um, and I honestly wish that I could have enjoyed the concert more. But the
Mhm.
thing that ruined it for me is that we got scabies from the hotel, which are like a mite that lives in your skin and like burrows in and lays eggs.
Jesus.
Yeah. So like, yeah, it was terrible. We had to like put cream on our skin to
Like I guess
to get
that's
them.
a new that's entering my lexicon is all as I'll ask somebody. Yeah, but was the K-pop worth the scabies? That'll be what I
Yeah,
say going forward.
this will be replacing as the juice worth the squeeze
Yes,
as the new um, whatever the word is. New
man,
terminology.
I appreciate how I had my whole little tragic backstory speech last episode about being sick as a kid, and now we get to hear your tragic backstory of being forced to listen to music.
Yeah, yeah. I think that we were living in two different worlds. I remember specifically there was one music festival, and it was my birthday weekend, and so we had my birthday party the week before. Like everything was fair. I had my weekend to celebrate. I hung out with my friends. But on my birthday weekend, my parents wanted to go see some person live or whatever. And we had to
Mhm.
camp there. And I was just grumpy the whole time. I was like, why am I spending my birthday at this thing? And I, there's something about porta potties that I just, I hate them. They're unsanitary to me.
Mhm.
I was even more of a stickler as a child about like germs and bacteria and things. And so I this episode, by the way, we curse a lot. I think this is the debut cursing episode of Critical Grace. Um, but to start it off, I held my shit for 3 days straight.
That's exceedingly unhealthy. I just go
It
shit in the
was.
woods. Like Jesus Christ.
Oh, man, I was terrible. It was awful. So like I broke down on like Sunday night or something like that, and we had to wait in line in like the bougie, like they paid extra to have a little running water station. So we like snuck into there. I don't know. It was crazy. I was wild as a kid. Um, Man, I love going off the rails on these things.
Hmm.
This episode we have Carson and Dahlia. They were the Fluttering Horde, winners of the 2v2 tournament at Gencon. I learn about the existence of the Venture Brothers.
The
And
existence? You didn't even know about it?
no, I hadn't heard
Oh
about
my
it before
god.
today.
This is why you should have gone to the music festivals, man. You would have been more cultured.
Is that what happens at music festivals? Is
Yes,
you
your culture bar would go up, and then you'd learn about the Venture Brothers.
okay, and also learn how to use a porta potty.
Yes, exactly. You weren't cultured enough, I guess.
I will tell you though, I was pretty good at Minecraft PvP.
Mm.
Um, anyway, that's besides the point. Again, um, we learn about. Well, I learn about the Venture Brothers, and we learn about the extravagant strategy that Carson and Dahlia had going into the 2v2 tournament. Um, Ended up working for them. So
Yeah, they were really cool to talk to, so I'm excited for this one.
yeah. Well, we're just going to do a nice smooth transition from there, and we'll catch you in the next intro. All right. Well, today we're here with Carson and Dahlia from the Fluttering Horde. Welcome to Critical Grace,
Thank you. Excited to be here.
It's a pleasure to be here.
and congratulations on taking down the 2v2 tournament at Gen Con this year.
Well, thank
Yeah.
you for noticing.
It's almost like I specifically pulled you into this podcast for this completely unrelated reason.
Now I gotta ask before we go on, which one of you is 21 and which one of you is 24?
Oh,
It's a funny thing you bring that up because essentially throughout the entire convention, we were in a super state between both of them.
I see.
yeah.
The spirits of
Oh,
both of them.
It really just depends on which one of us wanted to do the voice at the time.
I
Yeah.
see.
Because either of us can at least do kind of an impression of either.
Wow, that's impressive. My goodness, I feel like a fake fan now.
We both found ourselves just replying in the same voice at the same time.
Oh, that's really
So,
good.
so for the people who are uneducated with the
Yeah.
Venture Bros,
Uh-huh.
you guys are cosplaying as the henchman of someone named
The Monarch. The Monarch.
Okay.
How do you not know this, Bodhi? My God.
Well, I feel really bad. I thought that you guys were bees up until about 15 minutes ago.
Well, you wouldn't be in bad company. So did a lot of people. I'm happy to say that most people did know. So, like, the education system has not completely failed yet.
Right.
Uh, but yes, we were doing cosplays those two because um we we've seen clips from the show, we've watched the show, and they were just like, oh man, I a lot of the stupid, nerdy, dumb like conversations they have all the time are just like the shit we do. Because in real life, Dolly and I are very, very good friends. And we were like, we should dress as them one day because we're no strangers to conventions. And we are like, yep, we're gonna do it. And years just went by, and we're gonna do it. This year we'll do it. And then finally, we're just like, okay, this year we are gonna do it, and we did.
Excellent.
And it was great. Like we got stopped, what, like upwards of like 70 times.
It was nuts.
Well, yeah, you'd be in the right crowd for people to recognize you as Venture Brothers characters, to be fair. That's
I hoped so, but I wasn't sure. This was my first time at Gen Con, and with it being such a convention around such a niche kind of thing. Because I'd been to PopCon at the Indie Convention Center before, which that's like general pop culture, and yet, despite that, despite being a way broader topic, was probably like 20 times smaller. It was crazy how huge Gen Con is.
yeah, Gen Con's massive. I went there like once as a teenager, like Jesus, 12 years ago, something like that. And like I remember it was massive. There was some really impressive cosplay stuff. That was back in the glory days of War Machine.
Mm.
They had like a couple of the guys and like weirdly obscure characters, but they had extremely like elaborate costuming. It was like whatever. I'll talk about it some other time. But it's Gen Con's cool. I should go back there
It
at
is
some
cool.
point.
We're here
Yeah.
to talk about malediction, dang it.
The only thing
Yes.
I'll add onto that was just that the turnout this year was like 85,000 people. It was crazy.
That was crazy.
That is a lot of people. At some point, I would love to make it to a Gen Con. I've been thinking about it for a few years now. Maybe one.
I highly recommend it. And the malediction crew there was awesome. Like if you care about this game, and I have to assume you do, Gen Con is probably worth it just for that.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get started talking about some malediction. How did you guys find and get into the game?
Oh, I'm gonna let Dolly take that one away.
So I did what any what so many people do nowadays is just you find yourself doom scrolling, and I've found myself moving through several different like through YouTube and through Facebook, but I was on Instagram and I was trying to find um, something to watch, and I had just kept getting these advertisements for this miniature game. I was like, these are some really nice looking miniatures, and I'll be completely honest. The thing that really struck me was whenever I got an advertisement for Griza. Um,
Mm.
Griza was kind of the thing that pulled me onto the site to take a look at what the deck looks like, and then whenever I saw Effer, I was like, all right, all
Yup.
right. And I have this bad habit of like I kind of go all in on like cool miniatures that I want to see. I got a 3D printer, so if I get like if I'm on mymanufactory.com or on a site that has like options for 3D printing, I will kind of go all in on something that I really like, and then kind of figure out if it's fun later. I kind of just hit the nail on the head with malediction this time, and of course I'm part of a group that I brought malediction to. I was like, hey, we all love miniatures, and we all love card games. Well, I found both,
Mhm.
and that's how I introduced it to Carson.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, that seems kind of cool. I have a history with like card games and stuff. I really enjoyed Yu-Gi-Oh! Despite all the horse shit in that game. And
It
um,
wouldn't be Yu-Gi-Oh without the
I
horse shit.
it's true. It's honestly, it's just, it's the vibe at this point. But no, you know what? No, you know what? Fuck that. I will defend Yu-Gi-Oh! Because you know what? I do have fun with it, and it is fun. And so, but I've always had difficulty with the miniature side of things. And Dolly was like, "Hey, you should try this because, we love miniatures in this group, and um this one has a, half a foot in the space you like." And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And we were already planning on going to Gen Con. This was like something years in advance. We were looking for stuff to do. And Dolly was like, "Why don't we sign up for this tournament?" I'm like, "Well, that sounds like fun." The good news is I could have fun reading the phone book with Dahlia, so I'm like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" I didn't expect to win. I certainly didn't even necessarily expect to have fun just because 'cause I'm like, "I don't know if this is for me." We played a few test games. I was like, "You know what? This is pretty cool." I'm still not expecting much, but we'll see. And then when, we got there in person and we started playing, obviously we performed decently, but I was, like, shocked by how fun it was, especially in person. And after that, I just got really hooked, and, n it's all part of the you gotta beware the pipeline because now I've got a Longshanks account, and I'm, like, ready for an online tournament. It's like, "Oh god." Um, but yeah, I've been having a ton of fun with the game. This Malediction's a blast.
That really is the rabbit hole. Like you find the cool miniatures and you're like, "Oh, this is neat." And then suddenly you're playing online and there's no miniatures involved.
So that's the biggest thing with the what sucks about the online is that on Tabletop Simulator, at least not yet, I haven't figured out how to make it go from the little stands to the miniatures. And then what doubly sucks is that like I said, I live over on the West Coast, and there's like nothing over here for Malediction in person. Like, genuinely, I care enough about it that I'm gonna be like seeing if I can't call some local game stores and get some interest going. But even on like the official Discord group, was like, so hey, mods who actually work with the company, thoughts on the West Coast? And they're like, well, we'd love to do it, but yeah, there ain't shit out there right now. I'm like, damn it.
Mm. Well, the Herald program, I actually just put a message in the chat about this as you guys were talking, but basically the way that works is it's like representatives for each studios. Like you're not really affiliated. It's like just through Malediction, but um, it's basically just like the judges or judge program that you would have for a card game. Um, and so they'll work with stores and set up events and whatnot. You get the ability to create events through the like the online portal or whatever. Um, so if there's nothing there, the keyword is yet, because
Yeah.
creating stuff is cool. Anyway, well, moving on. I know that Dahlia, you mentioned you were attracted to the vibe of Griza, and it looks like you played Griza in the event. But what kinds of play styles do you find yourself drawn to? You know, are those the characters that you enjoy to play? And if like what all characters do you like?
Um, Coming from my like card game background, I've always been a massive fan of, and I'm gonna use Mardu as the way that I describe that with Magic the Gathering. Very red, white, black, aggressive, trying to use the graveyard as a hand as much as possible. I like uh, being able to sustain myself on the field. So, like, I thought that Grease's legacy of being able to do some damage off of healing was very much in line with how I really like to play my card games. Um, but I think the thing that really stuck with me with Grease was just like the vibe. Like half of the reason why I take anything to tabletop is um is just the aesthetic of it. You know, like the all the spirits and um all the models that I was able to print for the game really made it shine for how I was going to look on the tabletop, and I was just like, yes, this game looks awesome. As far as their play style, I like big thing that hit hard, but not as um like one trick pony as like a Thundersteps would be in that regard. So I run stuff like Effer and Thrice Murdered and Sestinar, who all like try and get in and deal as much damage as possible. Um, where some of those are glass cannons and others can really take a beating. Um, I'm trying to revamp the deck currently because I don't feel it uses the legacy to its full potential. But um, no, that's kind of how I played him. I was trying to be kind of a tanky support for Carson in the 2v2.
Makes sense to me.
And then Carson, does that tanky support? What does that enable you to do?
Ironically, like the idea going into the tournament was more that I would be like a support role because, you know, so many of the units on Dahlia's board are these big things like Effer and sorry, are these big things like Effer. And I brought Morita, whose whole thing is she just, pumps out little guys who aren't very strong, but there's a lot of them. So, and then on top of that, Morita kind of wants to find a bit of a hiding spot, right? She wants to be able to snipe people. She wants to be able to resurrect units without being counterattacked. So you would be like hiding somewhere in a corner, bringing out units, taking pot shots, while the big dudes like Grieza and Effer are going in and hitting stuff. And as we, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face, right? As we were playing the tournament, what we really found is that, you know, that's a fun plan in theory, but you need to be able to pull more of your own weight. There really isn't support. There's just two different players doing their own things. And as you start getting into skirmishes, plans fall apart depending on what your opponent does. So we ended up both needing to, just sort of be anything our armies needed us to be, including frontliners, including support. It changed constantly. And I found that a lot of fun. And I also was very happy with the success I had with the deck um, outside of the support role I intended it for.
Cool. All you got to make do with what you got. I think that's kind of one of the things that sets Malediction apart from a lot of other tabletop games, in my opinion, is that with the nature of the relics and just kind of what you draw, even if you have a very standard kind of template game plan for your list, a lot of times you're just going to have to make things work and improvise. And I really like that about it.
Yeah.
Well, that's another thing. Is like, of course, our plan was written out on paper, and then you run into the fact that like you have a 7-card hand. And it's like, well, I'm more than likely not going to see everything that I have on my tray. And I don't know. It just I agree fully that like a plan doesn't survive first contact with the enemy, but I think me and Carson did a really good job with trying to stick to it.
Yeah. So what was the closest call you experienced in this tournament, do you think?
Ooh. Dahlia, would you say round 3?
Round 3 was
Or
definitely the most tense.
which
The most
which like
tense.
mathematically, you figure it probably ought to be, right? If you're winning games, which we were, and you get to the final round, you're hypothetically playing against someone else who's been doing nothing but winning games. So, it makes sense. But who was it we were playing against? It was Thundersteps, and who was the other player?
Like a
Thundersteps.
Vorendal.
Yes.
Borndog. That's right. Yes, that's right. They had a really sick plan, where Vorendal would be dealing damage whenever spells that deal damage, and Thundersteps just loaded his deck with spells that dealt damage. So they were pumping out a ton of stuff. They made a couple misplays, which helped us in our favor, which helped us greatly. I like to believe he still would have won, but the fact that it was close enough that I have to go in my head and be like, if they hadn't misplayed, I wonder. That shows you how close it was. And I don't think there was anything in Dolly. Obviously, if you get a different perspective, you feel free to share it after this. But I don't think there was a specific moment in that game. It was just, Thundersteps being hyper aggressive, Vorendal being hard to kill. That yeah, got into a mosh pit, and I had a really smart moment where I used a deployment to block a Thundersteps charge that would have really ruined us. Um, and other than that, it was just like, the die worked in our favor. Our decks were doing their thing. Um, but I think they had was that the round that they had almost gotten rid of your army, Dahlia?
Yeah. So, two things. One, um, confidence does a lot whenever they whenever they come to the table, and they just move, um, and are so sure of their movements that like during the first round, I saw how they were conducting themselves, and I was just like, oh my god, oh my god, we're so boned. Um, but by the end of the game. By the end of the game, I was completely ripped off the board. I think I had maybe 1 or 2 miniatures left on the table, and Carson was left to kind of make it happen. Um, I think I maybe had a thrice murdered. I cannot remember what I had on the board, but they essentially depleted everything I had while Carson was still able to have some kind of presence. And Carson's the one that brought that one back and won us the tournament.
Nice.
It was tough. It was, and that is the reason why that was the closest call right there. I mean, they basically wiped one half of our army. Thankfully, I think we had enough of a foothold, and we sometimes even if they're starting to make a comeback, it's about making a comeback in time to get those points. And thankfully, we were able to stop that from happening.
The only other time that I would say like something was extremely close was our first game. Our first game had a very close point disparity. And at the end of the round, whenever they called it, because unfortunately well, I don't know if I'd say unfortunate, but our games did run very long because we got into mosh pit after mosh pit, and it would just turn into a all out ball out like brawl most of the time. And our first game ended. I think it was going to be the enemy team winning, but like they had we had forgotten to like change points up because relics got dropped, and that's the only thing that like saved us on that one.
Which,
Yeah,
to be
that's
fair, that's kind of like saying, "Oh man, the playing the game correctly really saved our ass there." But
Well,
in the moment, and especially when it was the first round, and a lot of the morale of the day kind of lies in that. It was such a moment of triumph. It felt like a moment out of a movie where the underdog isn't gonna win, and they're like, "Oh," and then the judge is like, "Wait," and then you realize through some means that, "Oh, well, they did win," like it was we were high fiving. It was awesome.
that's also
yeah.
nothing to say on our opponents. That was just like an honest mistake. Like they weren't
Yeah,
trying to do anything.
I think that like this is something that I've kind of worked into my routine when I play a game. Is it'll be like round 5 or something. It'll be like, hey, stop what you're doing. How many points do you actually have? Because you'd be surprised how often, like, you just forget to take off 10 or give yourself 10 or account for that extra stitched corpse you killed or something. I've played multiple
right.
games where it just turned out, nope, you were like 6 points off one way or the other from what you actually had. So that's an important, house cleaning thing for this game. It can be very easy to forget your actual points because your points values move around so much.
Absolutely.
Well, final question before we go in and talk about some of the decks that you guys played and what you played against. If you were to give some advice to a player who just started the game, what would you say?
Carson, I'll let you take this one.
Oh, great. Thanks.
um,
I mean, if you actually do have something, you can go ahead. I'm still thinking.
if you're still thinking, I can go. I would say it's probably the advice that I would give to anybody starting like a new like hobby game or like miniature game is kind of go with your gut on like if something speaks to you, go for it. I did no research on malediction before I made the purchase of Griza. Um, and I'm not going to say just spend money willy nilly on something without doing any research. But I mean, if something just calls to you whenever you start a new game and you really like something, just go for it. Especially in like especially in this kind of setting where everything is so I would consider malediction to be very balanced. I don't think there's a wrong choice to make. And if something genuinely speaks to a new player, like just go for it and swing for the fences.
Yeah, I'd certainly agree with that. Even the pack is pretty close. Like even the quote unquote weaker seekers can do some pretty cool stuff.
I would say, yeah, I would. The advice I would give to new players, actually, the advice one of the tabletop vets in our group gave to me when we were doing some test hands, and that is, don't second guess yourself, because if there's one thing you need to do in this game, it is play fast enough to earn points. 2 of our 3 games went to time in the round, uh, and so you, for the sake of, like, actually performing and for the sake of not having a miserable experience for all the players, don't overthink things. Early on, I was, overthinking everything and checking in with Dahlia about what to do, and communication with your partner is important, but, not when it's every single action. And once I started just, like, going in and trusting my gut, which is kind of similar to what Dahlia said, it worked out very well. And if it doesn't work out very well, well, guess what? That's how you learn. It's fine. Like, I'd say that would be my biggest advice. And then if someone is, like, on the edge of wanting to get into the game but isn't sure, maybe they're a little intimidated, I am so relieved at how easy the game is to get into. And once you understand things, which does not take a long time, you can get in and play very quick and have an understanding of the game so much sooner than you thought.
I would agree with that. I've been playing some Armada recently, which is an excellent game, but just the basic barrier to entry is a lot higher.
I I've been playing Warhammer for 20 years,
Oh yeah,
and um, being able to just kind of sit down with a miniature game and just so easily have like a fast and balanced experience is a breath of fresh air.
yeah, it's that. Yeah, Warhammer's in a rough state in a lot of ways right now, in part because it feels after a certain point they just kind of feel like they need to include complexity.
I don't think uh, I don't think complexity is necessarily a bad thing in games. I for one don't mind 11th edition. It's all going to come down to how the codexes look whenever they come out. But n- no game has like so quickly captivated me as Malediction has, just from the state of like the barrier to entry, the accessibility on different like price points of entry, like just being able to take a standee pack and go to a tournament and you know place is insane to me. Whenever like to even enter into a tournament, you would need to spend somewhere up in the ballpark of like $400 to $500.
You're
Um,
talking about Warhammer, right?
yeah. I'm talking about Warhammer, or hell, even like War Machine to certain degrees. Um, but just the different levels of entry with Malediction and how player friendly it is. I don't know. It's very unique in that regard as well.
Yeah, and just you guys have played a bit. Like when's the timetable and just jumping into your first tournament here compared to when you started playing?
Oh god. Well, this is why we didn't expect to win. I think we had played like 3 games together before the tournament. Dahlia has probably played more than me.
N-
I have to assume,
No,
but together practicing for the 2v2, it was like 3 games. We were very much like, we're in it for a fun time, not a long time.
Mhm. Well, and I'd say that like one of the nice things about Malediction right now is that it is kind of a new game, and a lot of ground is being broken, so to speak. If you can get in, you might figure out how to play a seeker in a way nobody's really thought of before, including probably some of the designers from what I've seen. Um,
Yeah.
and it's a very open field now. Is my point. We're not talking about a game system that's been around for so long. There's kind of an ossified upper crust of people who all know the game super duper well. You know, there's a lot of room for people to come in and really figure things out and strut their stuff.
And it's really interesting because at Adepticon, our 1v1 tournament was won by somebody who had played like 3 games total before the event. So seeing that it's not uncommon for new players to, still be able to perform well at these tournaments, I think is a really good thing. I mean, a lot of games that have been around for a while, like Star Wars Armada, for example, the winner of our Adepticon tournament has been playing the game since it first came out, and the entire top 8 are like known, high performing names. There's no chance of somebody who's new to the game, showing up and doing well. But I think that, the fact that we can have a game that it feels rewarding to be experienced in, while also simultaneously feeling good for a new player to show up and do well in a bigger event like this. Like, it's just a nice community for everybody.
Yeah. Well, and on top of that, I don't think it's like too difficult a game to understand. So the floor is kind of high, which I think is a good thing. If there's still a high ceiling, I think there is. Some of the closest games I have ever had have been with new players. One of my biggest losses was with a player who I was like, "Oh yeah, you're interested? Let me show you how to play." And then they brought in Auric, if that's how you pronounce that damn dwarf, and kicked my ass like 42-0. And I was like, "Oh my god."
Yeah, I think
Um,
it's super intuitive, and I think like a lot of the people doing very well right now, I think are people who are just stepping in from other tabletop games, and because they understand the core mechanics of how tabletop games works, that's taking them very
yeah,
far.
The
intuitive is the right word. I think that's absolutely the right word.
the the rule book and the rules are laid out in such a way that everything is just so literal, and like just reading it, it's like the professor always says, reading the card explains the card, and it's just like everything is so well laid out and so easily and accessibly like worded that I'm not going to say it's foolproof, because there's many times that Carson and I have had to go back and be like, is that how that works? But
Mhm.
yeah, just being able to look at a rule and being able to be like, all right, that's how that works. Yep, we're good. And there's not like a 30-minute long discussion.
Yeah,
Really helps to also make the game, go.
I would agree. A lot of the problems with a lot of otherwise really cool rule sets is their ambiguity, and there's always going to be like
Oh, sorry, did something in my throat.
there's like well, I just say like it's one of those cases where there's always going to be ambiguity with some rules, but
Yeah, for
for
sure.
this game, they've kept that to I think a bare minimum.
All right. Well, with all of that put aside, let's talk about this tournament a little bit. I
Yeah.
want to briefly go through our top 3 podium here. So in third place, we had the Rampage Bros. This was a pairing of Vorendal and Thundersteps.
Hmm.
Yep.
Uh,
Those are our final round.
okay, sweet. I think that their lists look pretty standard. I don't see anything that stands out, except for the Vorendal list has the Disciple of Anushva, which we've kind of crapped on the podcast before. Um, in second place, we had the Raptor Pit, which is a pairing of Auric and Griza. And these lists are really interesting to me. The Griza list has 2 copies of Barter, and I think from what I can tell, there's only one equipment. There's one copy of Reinforced Plate. And so I'm not really sure what they
Interesting.
were doing with the Barter.
Are
Uh,
you allowed to place attachments onto your partner's allies?
That's what we
oh,
actually thought. I don't think so.
well, yeah, yeah. I think you can put attachments onto your teammates' stuff. I was reading Barter, and like it specifically references. Actually, hold on, let me pull it up again. Because it specifically does one that you own.
Oh, okay.
Search your deck for an
Different
item and reveal it. You may return an item you own in play of the same rank or higher to your deck. If you do, play the revealed item without spending Echo and equip it to any ally you own. Oh, okay, so it is
Yeah.
ally you own.
So, assuming the Auric player attached something, the Grisa player would not be able to use the barter to switch it out. I don't know if that was something that maybe they played wrong, or I don't know. Maybe there's something, because they do have a copy of the Ring of Vitality in the side deck, so like maybe there was
Mm.
something going on there.
Yeah, or maybe Ulrich has like some channel that's like do something with, I don't know, an attachment on a ally. It doesn't have to be one you own, and then something really fucking awesome happens. Like,
Nah, there's nothing like that. It's like we were saying earlier about the game being wide open. I think intuitive understanding of how the game works probably like was the killer here. It's
mhm.
the for why
Mhm.
they did so well. I think it was probably just a mistake, honestly, and I
Yeah.
think it shows that they probably knew what they were doing otherwise with like game sense as opposed to encyclopedic knowledge of all the cards, which is the thing that's kind
Yeah.
of going to develop last in any community.
Right.
I wouldn't be shocked if they ended up just citing it out and keeping it out for the rest of the
Mhm.
tournament once they realized what was up.
Yeah. Well, that's the nice thing about the side deck.
Right. And then in first place is you guys. So this is a Grisa and a Morida pairing. I don't want to bore everybody by just going through and reading off specifically every single card in your deck. I'll give you a chance to talk about some of the things that you like or maybe want to change here in a second. Just from my like outside opinion, I think that your Grisa deck is really interesting. The Valkyrus Priest is kind of one of the ubiquitous cards in the game right now for how powerful it is. And so only having two is kind of a rare sight. And then Unmake is like one of the spells in the game. And so not having Unmake in a deck with green is kind of rare as well. And then on the Morida side, the like we in basically every episode where we've talked about blue, we've talked about telekinesis in some form or fashion, and only having one telekinesis in the main board, and you do have the second in the side. So uh, I don't know. Those are just some interesting like third party things that I noticed. But you guys can take it away and tell me a little about like some of your deck building decisions.
Sure. Dahlia, you want to go first? I mentioned your deck first.
Sure. So whenever I was putting together the list, I was going through many of the decks that were featured on the Play Network. Most of the decks that I found for Grisa were heavily utilizing spirits, of course, because that's what Grisa's legacy does. It says whenever a spirit is healed, deal damage equal to the spell's cost um, towards an enemy within engagement range of uh, one of the healed units. So I of course wanted to keep the Valkyrus Priest in, because yes, he's one of the most units in the game, and I not only that, but I love the way he looks on the tabletop. Um, I I overlooked Unmake. I'll be completely honest with you. I think if I had slapped an Unmake into the deck, I think it would have went hard. But um, there's also like an external reason as to why I could only work with kind of what I had, and that was the fact that like um, having to purchase the decks and wait for the cards to come in and everything. I didn't have two two unmakes. I didn't have like extra cards that I could slap into the deck that I would have liked to have. I would have loved to have oh, what is it? The Carson, you know the name of it. It's the one where you essentially take control of a unit for a turn.
Entrap the mind.
Oh god, Entrap the Mind,
I
yeah.
would have loved Entrap the Mind. I didn't have Entrap the Mind. So I kind of found a couple lists that worked with cards that I did have or cards that I could get relatively quickly. I wanted to have the Order of it's the other one that has Valkyrie. I wanted to have Decree of Valkyris
Mhm.
in my list, but my Auric deck never came in time, so I couldn't pull it apart and put that in. So I replaced that with the Herald of Salvation. So a lot of the reasons why I didn't include something was just because I didn't really have access to it. But I found a couple lists that helped point me in the right direction of a way to build my deck in a way that worked with me and my budget, if I'm honest.
Cool.
Yeah, that's very fair. I think that as great as like the downside of a system like most trading card games where you have to go out and buy each card individually, like you have access to any card at any point in time, but some cards will become more expensive than others. In this, like you're paying the flat rate for, like if you want a copy of Unmake, that's another Morida deck that you have to purchase. And like, yes, you get all of the other cards for it, but I can definitely see, and I even feel with my own collection, that constraint. Carson, what about you? What did you have any fun deck building ideas?
Oh, what about me? I was when I was putting the deck together, um, if you know the meme from Toy Story 2 where it's the Buzz Lightyear shelf and the one Buzz Lightyear's like, "I'm Buzz Lightyear, I'm awesome." And then it cuts to everyone else being like, "I'm Buzz Lightyear, like
Yeah.
that's how I felt with putting the Gateway Guardian in the deck. I'm like, "Ooh, look at this spicy tech." And then later I would learn that like no, so many Morta decks will put in Gateway. And I think that's mostly of a lack of like really good blue and black uniques. Thrice Murdered is obviously amazing, like one of the MVP cards, just incredible. But like the other uniques that she has access to are not that great. I think if you do play a Morita deck that only runs two uniques, you probably will end up subbing out Gateway for the Champion of Drav, who's coming out in the who was revealed recently, I believe, for the new reinforcements. If not, you can cut this out.
Interesting.
Uh, I because he's just incredibly strong. Now, personally, I'm currently experimenting with a Morta deck that runs three uniques. Um, because I just want three unique units rather, because I just want more of those powerhouse monsters. Um, and so the third that I'm currently running is oh gosh, what is it called? The Spellbound Devourer, which is fine, but not exactly like synergistic. You were mentioning the fact that I only was running one telekinesis. This was this is due to inexperience, but I'm gonna stick to my guns here for a bit and say that I'm not convinced on running it fully. The idea was, oh well, this is great against Thundersteps and like other hyper aggressive decks, but I'm not guaranteed to run into those. So I'll just play the one because I believe it's good, but I don't know if it's always good. And actually, I ended up citing it out a lot for Spell Plunder, which was elevated by the fact that it's a 2v2. So I had way more options of discard piles, and Spell Plunderer ended up being one of my MVP spells. And I like never used telekinesis, never needed to. That could just very well be the fact that that's how the games panned out. And in a different universe, I'd be singing telekinesis's praise. I definitely feel like By this point, I think I've had around 10 games, 10 or so games under my belt, and I definitely think telekinesis is better than I thought. I'm still not convinced that it's this amazing card, but I would be willing to bet I'm probably wrong because I don't think I have enough experience yet to really know for sure. But that was the reasoning behind that. I was like, yeah, this is kind of like a side card. If I need more of it, I'll do more of it. If I need less of it, I'll do less of it. And ended up at least in this tournament underperforming in favor of like Spell Plunderer.
Well, I
Other
think
than that, I
that's
mean,
no,
oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead, go ahead.
I was just going to say that I think that's another important component is that this was a 2v2 tournament, and that's um, it's a popular format. I see people online playing it quite a bit, but it is not the quote unquote default one. So I feel like
Right.
a lot of the insights here might be relevant specifically to 2v2, where by the nature of the amount of stuff flying around the board, and the amount of coordination and all these other things. What's kind of cool about it is I think you probably will see, more stuff that wouldn't really be seriously looked at as much, or perhaps in lower amounts in the standard format, being a lot better here.
Well, and if you think about it, in a 2v2 format, telekinesis is like half as good. You're being bum rushed by two armies, two
Right.
seekers, many uniques. And you're like, all right, I push one of these jerks away. Well, they've still got a whole other's army's worth of jerks that are your problem right now. So, you know, not that there's much deck building you can do around that. Obviously red has some good AoE options, but I guess my point is that you know, Unmake, which is a single target, but obviously very good, and um, Writhing Pain. Actually, Pact of Demise was so good. I can't tell you. My favorite little combo is if I draw it, is having Gateway Guardian with Pact of Demise. It is so good. It is such a good feeling to have Gateway Guardian just absorb a ton of damage to save your other units, and then when he's about spent, use Pact of Demise to take like a healthy, unique enemy unit along with him.
Yep.
It is such a swing in tempo and damage, like I guess advantage. And then I guess the last thing I have to say is just I love Morta a ton. I think her ability and her legacy are so well designed and so synergistic. If there is one problem with her, it's just that I think a good chunk of her deck is pre-built because her abilities only work with basic fallen units. So that's like two levels of specification. They got to be basic and they got to be fallen, and hopefully they got to be good. So until they print more of those types of units, her decks are going to be a good percentage of them are going to be fairly pre-built, which is a bit of a bummer. But thankfully, I really like the fallen units, so we're doing good there.
Yeah, and hopefully as the game matures a little bit and there start being more options, that is like I would say that is most the case with Morita, but that is I think the case with almost everybody right now, and that's why a lot of us are excited for the new stuff. Is a lot of how this game works is just kind of set in stone right now. Like there's a couple, like maybe one or two good ways to play every seeker at the moment, just with the amount of cards they have access to. So hopefully that'll change soon.
Yeah,
Right. There's
those
only been
reinforcements do look very exciting.
which one?
Mhm.
Which one? A bunch of them. I don't know.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know which ones have been officially revealed yet. So
Yeah, that's fair. As for winning the event, you guys received a couple reinforcement packs, and so
yeah, we did.
you have some knowledge beyond our comprehension. Um, although I think that by the end of next week we should see everything based off of the time frame that things have been proceeding with
The
right now.
pace, yeah.
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 Okay. Well, I kind of want to talk through each of you guys' rounds. We already discussed a little bit about the first and the third round, but I want to highlight your opponent's lists and I guess talk about anything more specifically that you guys want to bring up. So in
Yeah.
round one, you played against Team Tater with an E. This was a Karma Mock, and another Morida. So, did you notice anything, or was there anything else that you wanted to highlight with that game?
Ollie, I feel like I've been yapping a ton. You got anything?
Going up against two blue decks definitely gave me flashbacks to my days of playing Commander. The amount of like denial that they have with having double access to like wards and stuff is very annoying. um, but it was a good game. I don't know. I don't know if it's the correct way to say it, but yeah, whenever we say mosh pit, it's just it's um whenever that meatball gets in and just starts slapping into our characters and dealing like what is it 6-4 that Karma Lock does, um, and all the spells that they were slinging out, it was a very rough and close first round for us that day. Um, Also, getting to be on the receiving end of a little bit of what Marita does is I don't know. That was a very tense game. Um, I can't remember anything like super specific about the game, but I remember that it was very touch and go at many times. Maybe Carson can remember better.
It was a game of opposites because I was like, "Oh, I know exactly what Morta does, and I'm excited to see what differences he has." And then Karma Mock, I was like, "Okay, I know what Karma Mock does because I've read the card, but I have literally never played against a Karma Mock." And so on one half, I was like, "I expected that move. Haha, I saw that coming." And the other half, I was like, "The fuck? He can double it. He can double the spells." There were lots of touch and go moments. I don't remember many specific ones. I just know that I knew that I was able to, if memory serves, I was able to outproduce little glup shittos faster than the opponent's Morta. And then the meatball, which was what we affectionately referred to Karma Mock as, and what I love, we ended up having the opponents ended up calling him the meatball too by the end of it. Um, he was very much just kinda, like, running in and charging and being a problem, but I think we were able to kill it. Do you remember if we were able to kill it because it
I
got in so close?
I know for a fact that we killed it once. I can't remember if we took it off the board a second time.
Right. That was, like, a big swinging point. Dolly's referred a lot, to the mosh pit, and so have I, and that is one thing about this game. Since moving out of combat provokes retaliation unless you decide to use both your action points for a shift, um there like, once you're in it, right? You really gotta hope that you've positioned everything correctly, and thankfully, the way that we positioned, the way that our opponents positioned, allowed us to kill Karma and start outpacing the, opponent's Morta, and, by the end of it, we ended up winning, but just barely. That was a game that went to time in the round, and we did not there wasn't like a conclusive victor. If we had infinite time, it easily could have gone the other way.
Mm, fair enough.
In round two, you went up against Lethal but Civilized. So this is a Thundersteps and a Sigrith pairing.
I remember whenever I was looking through the Longshanks team, and uh, I remember that one of the teams just had the red icon and the white icon, and I was like, oh no. Because I knew that was going to be Sigrith Thundersteps. They played very well. I remember that game being a lot of fun. Um, Side note, just like everyone there was great to talk to. Everyone there was like so much fun to banter around with and just have the discussions with about the game. But that second game was um I don't think it was as close as the first one, but it definitely was a lot of give and take, and by the time that we had reached time again,
Yeah.
we had we kind of had just smacked 2 relics out of them and dropped their points so far that um, I think the ending total would have been somewhere in like the high 30s and the low or high 30s, high teens disparity. Um, Again, can't remember anything super specific about that game, but I remember it being a lot of fun and a lot of jokes and a lot of laughs were had across that table.
According to
And that first
Longshanks,
game,
you guys had a 47-29.
Oh,
wow, there you go. We man, I should get on Longshanks and review. I think Longshanks will probably have better memory of some of these matches than me. That was one where, it went to time, but that was just because our guys took so long to finally kill each other. But at the end of the day, like, it was the points that ended up mattering, not the units. And so, you know, we we pulled it out. And yeah, like Dolly was saying, like the people were so nice. In fact, those the first round was actually against some people who were with the Malediction team themselves, and they were like, you could tell that they just had an enthusiasm for the game and a desire to want to see people like embrace it and get better at it. So they were, especially for our first tournament setting, they were pretty ideal opponents. They were so nice, and they set the groundwork for it, and they even like, they were like, "Oh, I was like, "Ah, shit, I made a mistake." They're like, "Oh, really? You can take that back." And then in turn, we did the same for them. Like it was good. It was ideal.
nothing was sweaty.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
kind of camaraderie that I love to see in games. Like, I can't play Warhammer for a few reasons, and one of them is just I know how people get. Um,
I think it's a rather underrated component of rules of the game where it actually says if nothing's happened, if no dice have been rolled, let your opponent take things back. That is in the rule book for this game.
Yeah.
mm. And so your round one opponents. I'm not sure about one of them, but one of the players is Garrett. He makes a bunch of acrylic stuff for this game and for Star Wars Armada. Uh, he actually sponsors us, so check that out in the
Oh,
Discord.
hey.
Yeah. But since you guys beat him, I think that we deserve a raise. Uh,
Yeah, we'll let them know that, and
yeah.
then
We'll make sure to sick you guys on him next time.
yeah, he says no, we'll be like,
We'll send
"Excuse me, sir."
the minions, the monarch minions.
Yeah.
Uh, man,
Drop security.
I hate to bring it back to that. I'm really gonna have to go watch the Venture Bros after
You
this.
really do. It's kind of shameful that you haven't. They
I know.
took it off of Netflix last year, which pissed me off.
Oh, that's terrible.
Oh.
But it's something special. It's one of those things where it's like a parody that surpasses the thing it makes fun of in a lot of ways. Like I don't like superheroes for the most part. And it's like what makes Venture Brothers so cool is that it loves a lot of the things that I don't care for, but it knows why they're lame, and also talks about those parts in ways that are very funny. Uh, it's pretty cool.
It
All right.
is.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, no, you know what? No, no, never mind. I was gonna talk about Venture Brothers. That's
This
fine.
is not a Venture
Okay.
Brothers podcast, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Um, well, round three, you guys played up against the Rampage Bros. And so this was, as we mentioned earlier, a Thundersteps and a Vorendal pairing. You talked a little bit about how tight that match was. Is there anything else that you want to add in?
Let it be known that you can do a lot with the the psychological warfare in this game just by showing up to the table and just being confident about what you're doing. Carson and I both had the thought out the gate that, like, oh my god, these guys are just moving so quick. They're just doing everything so fast. I think we're boned.
They were moving with a confidence that surely can only come from people who are gonna kick your ass.
Yeah. Just lots of very um very like, here's what I'm doing, turns over. It's like, oh, it's over? It's one of our goes now? It's like, yeah. Take your
They were
pitiful
like,
cap off.
yeah, they were like sharing a brain. They knew what they wanted, they did it. Um, they were not aggressive. Like, they weren't aggressive, but they were,
Oh no.
no, yeah, no. They were I'm just failing to find the right term.
Assertive, perhaps.
Yes, assertive is the right way, and not in a mean way. Our opponents round 3, just like our opponents rounds 1 and 2, were great people. Um, but they knew what they wanted. And, it's funny actually, by the end, I don't remember what tipped the scales, but the scales did tip, and were we basically had them, but we didn't quite realize it, and they were like, "Hey guys, listen. If you just do this, this, and this, the game is over." And we're like, "Oh."
Mhm.
That's a skill I'm still trying to work on, is recognizing when I am in reach of, like, a win. Um, a weakness I have is I treat the game the whole time like it's gonna go on forever, and sometimes if you round the corner, or if you're about to round the corner, all you need to do is a couple unorthodox moves, like, oh, instead of, "Oh, man, I can attack this guy twice and maybe kill him," or you could just shift away and then make it impossible for them to catch up, and this is the last round and you win, like, stuff like that is stuff I'm still working on.
Yeah, I think the only reason that was really nailed into my head is because Pollinor's the first guy I really picked up. Because a lot of his game plan is just being like, "Oh, fight? Why would I do that? I have 3 relics, the game's over, goodbye." And it's like, you're not gonna win a lot of straight up fights, so don't. Simply do not.
Um, coming from our backgrounds, I think Carson and I both have a tendency to get tunnel visioned on, like, and very single minded in some regards. So whenever we are on the board and we see the mosh pit and we see, like, all of the potential interactions, I feel like we have a tendency to focus on those, like focus on you know the fight that's currently happening, and it might cause us to overlook, like, a small little detail about, like, oh yeah, just move, just move.
Yeah, it's great when you're trying to win the fight and you're, like, tunnel visioned on that, but, sometimes you don't gotta be in the damn tunnel. You just get out of the tunnel, you know? You're like, "Oh, man, tunnel vision's awesome if I'm trying to get through this tunnel, but the exit's right there, and it leads to an ice cream shop where I get free ice cream.
Right.
Like, I just need to take it."
Just leave.
Yeah.
Well, I will say that's probably also harder in 2v2 because it is the the format of just infinite crazy stuff happening on the table at all times.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess
Well,
the last thing I'll say is I was very happy with, Dahlia, your ability, your access to the white cards, like, or I guess yellow, whatever the color is, really allowed you to save my butt a couple times. Talking about just, like, deck synergies, the amount of times I was like, "Oh, I'm fucked. My big thing is gonna die. That's my big thing." And then you were just like, "I can save it." I'm like, "Really?" And you're like, "Yeah, I don't wanna reveal card information, but I can save it." I was like, "Oh," and then they did. It was great.
That's another interesting point. So you're not allowed to just show each other your cards without
No.
your
Yes,
opponent.
I like that a lot. I like that if you wanna talk shop, you gotta do it with your opponents right there. I don't know. I think that's kinda neat. I hope that if the game ever becomes big and there are tournament settings where people will get kind of sweaty and try hardy about it, that they aren't developing like signals. Although who knows, maybe that is kind of a good thing. And I don't. I'd be curious to see where it goes. I'd be curious to see where it goes.
It is stated like in the rule book that in a 2v2 setting, you cannot show cards to another player. Any discussion can be brought up by voice, and it also states, yeah, you're allowed to bluff.
Interesting.
Which is also fun, which is another skill I need to work on.
That is really interesting. I never caught that in my passive, like the tournament rulebook. I've also never played a proper 2v2 game yet, so
Oh,
that
dude,
needs
it's
to
a blast.
change.
Dude, if y'all got some extra time later on, we got you.
Yeah.
Ooh, a challenge by the champions.
Have you guys checked out the TTS mods so much?
Yes.
Yeah, we've been playing pretty exclusively on TTS just because we don't actually live very close to each other, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's really cool, and it's really cool that it just opens the game up in a way that I don't think a lot of them are.
All right.
Well, and it's great that it's like an official mod. My only one, like I said earlier, my only one thing is I just wish they had an option for models instead of the little standees. That's the one issue. Other than that, the mod is super slick and takes
Yeah.
care of a lot of the stuff for you. It's
It-
great.
Yeah, it's official. You're not going to have not to bring up Warhammer again, but you're not going to have it like GW shutting down 10 years of community project stuff on a whim. It's right from the horse's mouth.
Oh, the Malediction team like wants you to play their game. That's
Yeah,
some
well,
crazy
and
shit.
it's crazy.
And what's more is they'll trust that if you like the game, you'll get around to giving them money. Like, the way it's structured essentially means you're allowed to try it out as much as you want theoretically before you actually have to go in and get the stuff, which is really cool.
Yep. All right. Before we close out for this episode, do you guys have anything else you want to mention about Gencon or the tournament or about Malediction or shout out anything?
Well, shout out to Dahlia for printing and painting every unit in both of our decks and doing an amazing job. The models looked sweet, and it's not something I would have ever had the means or the skill to do. So, absolute shout outs there because you turned around what would have been a fun game with some boring shit to a fun game with some awesome shit. It was great.
I noticed that. I noticed the painted models from the pictures. That was really cool.
I can
Yeah.
send a couple of pictures here in this chat.
Sure.
But I just want to give a shout out to the our first of all to Malediction as a whole for making this game in like just something that's been so captivating, like to me.
Nice.
I think
Yeah.
it's I think it's a wonderful game, and I cannot wait to see how much it grows. I want to see it shoot for the stars, and also I gotta shout out my boy Carson for essentially carrying the last game and being the mainstay throughout the other two games.
Nice.
I would not have been able to win like without Carson, and I'm very proud of his abilities. As a person who doesn't come from miniature wargaming, I'm ever so blown away with just how far he's come,
Nice.
like how good he is.
Well, that's the other component I think for these 2v2s is being in sync, and I think you guys have demonstrated, pretty good at that.
I think so too. I think so too. And honestly,
Mhm.
go and cosplay more often. To everybody, that's my big. You wanted advice to new players? Go and cosplay.
Right.
It is. We're talking about the intimidation factor of confidence and swagger.
Right.
How about the confidence and swagger to dress as idiots in public?
Right. The fluttering horde.
Yeah,
So
how about the confidence and swagger to call yourselves the fluttering horde intentionally?
do you have any spoilers for what your next cosplay is going to be?
Well,
Hmm.
I'm trying to think of a way to be cheeky about it. I think we're a gang that likes to have fun, and we will proceed to cosplay as the Deltarune guys. I couldn't keep it going.
I as soon as you said gang that likes to have fun, I clocked it. So you're
Yep.
you're not good at this whole conspiracy thing. I gotta say, you got to work on that.
I don't write the damn mystery games. I just enjoy them. We've got a third who might be joining us for next Gen Con, and if so, Rousey, Susie, and Chris might be in the future.
There you
Although
go.
that's a lot harder to do than some black
Right.
spandex and yellow
Literal.
briefs. So we'll see what happens. It's in the planning stages right now.
Right. Well, the nice thing about the Monarchs guys is it's literally like it was assembled on a. These guys have a life expectancy of a week budget, so they're not a very complicated or not expensive materials, I should say.
It's literally canon that 21 is like, I have to build my own costume. The Monarch doesn't
Right.
provide.
Right. The reason he has all that cool Kevlar stuff is because he spent paychecks on it, not because
Yeah.
it's in the budget.
All right. Well, let's close it out with a hot take. So
Ooh.
you have to get rid of one from everything. It's gone forever. Rice, pasta, or bread.
Well, I think I eat rice the least. Well, is that true actually? But I
I
love
don't know.
spaghetti. I think actually I think it would be pasta. I think it would be pasta. Bread? Nah, come on. That's way too everywhere. Rice? I like Asian food too much. I'm gonna miss the hell out of pasta, but I think I'll miss it less than the other two.
The Italians have had it too good for too long, is what Carson's trying to say.
Yeah. I think you need to
I
reframe.
kept bread.
You need to reframe that hypothetical, Bodie, because I think that's what is pasta but bread? I'm gonna get all
Wait a minute.
What? It's pasta.
You-
That's the kind of stuff
You're
you
like
get
you're
disappeared.
revealing some truths that like powerful people are not gonna want you to be talking about. You
Look,
need to be careful with this episode.
all I know is that if you eliminated bread, then you wouldn't be able to buy 90% of the food in America would disappear overnight because they've I'm eating some green beans right now. I'm pretty sure they've injected gluten into them somewhere.
Okay, but gluten
seriously.
isn't bread. There's a pretty clear difference.
Okay, whatever. My answer is also pasta because I like a couple things. I like some lasagna now and again. I'm not a big Italian food guy. I like rice and bread's too generic. I can't get rid of that.
Since Carson took the Italians have had it too good for too long stance, I'm going to say
I took that, huh? That wasn't
yeah.
foisted upon me.
Yeah, you did. You did. Listen, you have a manifesto and everything. I've seen it. I'm gonna
Slander?
I'm gonna say get rid of rice. The Jim Bros have had it too good for too long.
Well, fair enough.
I will offer two standpoints here. The first is my fiance texting me from the other room who says, you're welcome for my unwanted opinion, but bread, as an Asian, I refuse to get rid of rice. I need my Asian sustenance.
Mhm.
And I say, as a white man, ditch the rice. I need my fucking bread. And pasta can't go. I've survived off of boxed mac and cheese for too long.
Oh, survive is perhaps not the right word. If it's just
a
boxed mac and
lifestyle.
cheese.
Sustain.
At this point, it's all that's keeping you going. If you stopped eating it, it would be like the withdrawal would kill you.
I would shrivel
Yeah.
up instantly and just turn into like Velveeta or something.
We've taken a bone density test, and it turns out that your bones are actually primarily Easy Mac like noodles.
But we actually
I'm
need to
so
shoot.
sorry.
We need to shoot you into space because your bone density only works if you live in space now because of all the plastic you ate.
It's not that bad, I promise. Okay, well, with all of these terrible opinions aside, let's finish out the episode. Thank you both for coming on and spending an hour or so talking to us. Congratulations again on taking down Gencon, and good luck in the online tournament that's coming up.
Thank you.
We will see you around.
It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for letting us come on here and ramble.
Yeah.
Thanks for giving us the ability to do it in the first place. And hopefully the online tournament goes well. This will be the first tournament we've had where it's 1v1. So
Mhm.
Sweet.
hopefully we both do well.
It's
And
also
I hope we both get to play each other because that'd be kind of fun.
yeah. It's also the last with like kind of the launch content only. It's going to be a Brave New World every month after this one is going to be all the new stuff included. Something kind of wistful about that.
Yep. Do you what are you guys going to be playing? Is it the same decks?
For the most part, I'm still gonna try and make Grease my main, but I am currently in the process of altering the deck.
Wow, turns out I was muted for a while. I'm not sure how long that lasted for, but yeah, I'm also playing Morta. I'm trying out. I'm doing kind of a more experimental build where I'm putting in just more unique stuff. I'm kind of sacrificing consistency for the sake of power spells. I'll be frankly honest. I don't expect it to do very well, but I just want to see how it works. And initial testing has proven to be really good.
Fair enough. Ethan, what about you?
I see. Okay. Zog and I supposedly had this pact we were going to do where we were picking each other's. It's like it's the last tournament. Where you can pick the secret I play. So I was like, you're going to play Polynor, and he's like, no. But I forget what I was like. You're going to play this, and he's like, sure, and you'll play Vorendal. I'm like, okay. And then he just told me like the other day, like, oh, there's too many people. It's going to be too close of a tournament. I'm not doing it anymore. So I'm stuck with Vorendal, who I actually like a lot. I like my Vorendal list. That's who I'm playing. But I'm also will take this opportunity to say that Zog is a scum-sucking bastard who doesn't keep his word.
Oh, so Ethan, wait, so you're going to be in the tournament then?
Oh yeah, I forget. Bodie scraped out last month's, right?
Yeah.
You got your thing, yeah, and
Mhm.
then I won the one a couple months ago. So I feel like I can't play Polynor. He's my main. I can't play him anymore because I already played him. I already won with him once. You know, it would be wrong of me to double dip.
Yeah,
I hope that's awesome. I hope I play against you guys. Like the big thing, I just want to play against people who are fun to play with, and so this will be great. And then I was trying to answer a question while I was muted. You were saying like, what's next? Um, the two reinforcement packs that Dolly and I got for the tournament were black and blue, so which is exactly Morta. So I literally have the deck list. Like once those cards become legal, I know exactly what I'm playing. And let me tell you, it's fucking crazy. It's like I don't know how the rest of the. I'm sure the reinforcements are probably just as nuts for the rest of the seekers. Morta, I was able to pull off some insane stuff. Like it's really really cool.
The
And then I
one
also
of
want to
the
give Ulrich a try.
one of the new ones that I know got released, which is going to be crazy for Morta, is the mirroring spell, where it's like, oh,
Yeah.
Yes.
Morta's going to poop out a guy, and this random other guy's also going to poop out a guy.
No, that's the one. And that combos with another spell that I don't know if it's released, so I won't talk about it, but you can kind of loop that.
Yep.
And so essentially that spell can give any unit within a range, I think it's 6 inches, the ability of another unit. So Morta, shockingly, it does not say non-seekers. It's just any unit. So if you got like 3 guys in graveyard, like Morta, resurrect a guy from the dead. Okay, cool. Now fucking Stitched Corpse, resurrect a guy from the dead. Play the combo spell I'm talking about. Bring it back, and it's like, boom. Play that. You, random asshole, who I just brought back from the dead.
Right.
Bring back a guy from the dead. Like, I think the biggest thing in this game, as far as tempo is concerned, is action economy. And if you are able to get out more units consistently and keep it that way, you are almost always going to be winning. And the ability to just flood the board with some of this new stuff is crazy, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, the salvage is the one you're thinking of, and that has been released.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So yeah, real quick. So salvage just returns a non-unique spell from your graveyard to your hand
Mhm.
at the cost, in quotation marks, of discarding the top 2 cards of your deck to your discard, which could be some new fallen units to resurrect. Like, it literally feels like it was made for Morta specifically. It
Yeah,
is an insane interaction.
I honestly, like, when I first saw it, I'm thinking as like a Polynor player, and I'm like, yeah, that's whatever. I don't really like the look of that. But no, with Morida, I think it will have a lot of, honestly, might be a reason to bring like 35 cards or something, just because
Yeah.
you don't want to deck out too quickly, and you're going to be kind of
We
blowing through stuff with that.
Dolly and I were testing with the new stuff after we got back from the con, and I don't know if dead to rights is too severe, but they had me outnumbered and outgunned, and a giant jerk right next to Morta ready to kill her, and I had the combo, and all of a sudden now I outnumber them and have prevented their giant jerk from escaping, and now they're the one who's cornered
Mhm.
because it's crazy. It worked so well.
In
I'm
one
very
turn,
excited.
uh, it was just over. It was just over in a single turn, and that's the the new cards are going to shape the game, I feel.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty cool. Well, yeah. Once again, thanks for coming on. We really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Thanks for the
Absolutely.
time.
Okay. Well, thank you all for listening. We'll catch you next time.